And at the top right position as the Teal Zerg, we do have FlaF. At the bottom left as the blue Protoss, we do have kAra. kAra up 1-0 in the series. And for anyone just joining us, this is the fourth and final qualifier for the $16,000 Italian Esports Open event. So the qualifier system, it's a point system. At the end of today, the top 8 players in points will move on to the qualifier playoffs, where the top 8 will play down to the top 2, and the final 2 will be invited to the LAN event that will be held at the Lucca Esports Cathedral in Italy. They will get all their travel expenses paid, and they'll get a shot at a piece of the $16,000 prize pool, which is crazy. Hey, thanks to Shocks TV for the subscription. Thank you so much, dude. Appreciate it a lot. And yeah, hope you're enjoying the qualifier so far. By the way, guys, not only do you get your travel expenses paid if you're one of the players qualified to go to the LAN, but I believe you get at least $1,000. So even if you go there and you lose every single game, you still get $1,000 as like the what is it, like 9th to 16th place prize or something like that. Or wait, no, I guess it's only 8 players, so like 5th to 8th. So that, I mean, that's just insane. Like that's way more than winning, you know, an entire weekly tournament for like a month or something. Because most of the weekly tournaments are like in the $100 range. It's pretty crazy. Anyway, looks like overpool, expand here, all that normal stuff. kAra going for a 1-base build, by the way, and he's not 2-gating. So last game on Python, we saw him go 2-gate in his main, and this time he's actually going for a tech build, which is actually going to be better for him, I think, since they're cross map. If he was going for 10-12 gate cross map, that would be a little bit painful, I feel. But in this case, with the tech build, I think that's actually better, because then you're not at a huge risk of getting Zergling countered, which is it's a relatively popular response to seeing 1-gate tech, is just to spam Zerglings and kill them. Wait, what? He gas stole? Interesting. And there's the cancel. I mean, gas steal PvZ, not something you usually see since the Zerg fast expands anyway and can just take their natural gas. I don't think that would have really done anything significant, but I'm not really sure. And looks like, ooh, we're gonna have a little drone block. Ah, sneaky, sneaky. Ooh, almost let him up actually by accident. It's like drone guy going for the kill steal. I mean, it's kind of funny because without gas, there's literally nothing he had to hide, right? I mean, you can't build any tech buildings without gas, right? Besides the spawning pool, which obviously is there already. So, I mean, that was pretty cute, but I'm not sure that actually did anything useful. I mean, I guess sure, maybe you could say, well, it stopped the probe from running around in his base, but that probe was pretty much dead anyway, I think. I guess that guarantees the probe death. So what is the tech gonna be? Stargate, right? Stargate Citadel? Stargate Citadel indeed. So the old school, the classic SERDT opening off 1 base. Where you hunt down the Overlord that's near your natural, and then you use DTs to basically make a super safe expansion. Oh, this is 1 hit away from death. He actually got bugged out and didn't smack it though. I think there's a damaged one in the main mineral line. If you can actually find the damaged one, you can actually it can actually target it. You need to left click all the drones though, because obviously you can't multi-select your enemy's units. So he would need to click each individual drone to actually see this. Good players will do that though. Good players will actually individually left click all the drones like super fast, just to check what their health are and attack the low health ones. Oh, it's a Hydroden. It's a lair as well though. Is it? What's he actually going? Is he going lurkers? Is this just for like overlord speed or something? Oh, got him. Where's the first Corsair? Okay, it's Templar Archives and Forge. For a second, I thought that was 2 Forges. I was like, what? Why would you go 2 Forges off one base? But it is actually Templar Archives and Forge. So you build some cannons here as well to help in the defense. But primarily, the thing that's guaranteeing that you don't die is the DT, because you can see no overlords around here. Actually, FlaF pulled all his overlords back. So the Corsair, looking at the obvious locations, doesn't see it there, so it goes straight over to the Zerg base. Now he's going to push down here slowly. Might just give up that pylon, that's completely fine. He's actually going to fight for it. You have to be careful though, because link speed is done, so this is the problem with moving down. I think it would have been better to just sack this and let rather than let the links in your base. I mean, he's killed 2 probes and got a complete scout off, which is basically the value. I mean, the 2 probes is the same value, you know, roughly as the pylon, right? But now he's also got vision. I would say the 2 probes is worth more than the 1 pylon even. Anyway, it looks like no overlord kills yet, actually. And FlaF is just getting drones. He's got the 3rd hatchery here. I mean, I guess FlaF is actually, he's not going to try and like do an all-in counter to this. He's just gonna play the long game. In which case, I think he should probably expand relatively soon. If he's just going to let the Protoss get this expansion, he should probably take his 3rd. I guess the DT is stopping him from doing that until he can actually get his overlord speed done. He's also getting the Spire, going to be able to get some Scourge and whatnot to help deal with those Corsairs. But you can see now, because he can't actually touch the DTs, he's just going to leave this alone. It's going to be completely fine. Now I'm going to switch into High Templars, not over making DTs. That's actually quite important. I think he only made 1. Yeah, he only made 1. This actually can be risky though. So this is the question. See, you don't want to over make DTs, because as soon as Overlord speed finishes and he's got enough Hydras, the Saire DT isn't that effective anymore. It's mainly kind of like an early game tool before the Zerg gets any of the appropriate tech to deal with it. But really, what you want to do is get 1 or 2 and then switch back into High Templars. Now, if you can get away with just making 1, that's actually great, because DTs are quite expensive. They're 125 minerals and 100 gas. So you want to, so if possible, you make 1, you go straight into High Templars, and that's great. The risk is that if you're walking around out on the map with the DTs and the Zerg does decide to all encounter you, and somehow, for example, you missed an Overlord and it's actually close to your base, you can immediately die to the Hydra Blast. This is actually something we saw happen, I think a couple of weeks ago. I think it might have been DeWalt actually doing it, or it was some very, very high level Protoss. He made just 1 DT, and I think there was an Overlord at his 3rd base or something that he didn't see, and the Overlord just floated over, the Hydras came in, and he couldn't do anything about it because the Storm wasn't ready yet, didn't have another DT. Actually, I think even the Overlord might not even have been there, but because there was no 2nd DT, the Hydras just walked into his base and killed him, and it looked really dumb from a spectator point of view, but you can see this is kind of what the build is supposed to be. You just have to be very, very careful and you know, make sure you're aware of what the Zerg is doing. I think, yeah, I was gonna say that one should die because those Scourge could just turn into it. Interestingly, 2 cannons actually being made in the mineral line here. kAra slightly concerned about a Muta switch. It's interesting. He did the same thing. Last game because he didn't get a scout off and he didn't get the Stargate. So, I mean, he didn't get the scout off in the main, so he had no idea if it was going to be Mutas or not. But in this case, since he already has the Stargate making the Corsairs, I wonder if that's perhaps slightly too much. Like, maybe you only need the 1 cannon. You can place it slightly higher, so it covers both the Stargate and the main mineral line. But 2 cannons is completely fine. It is definitely fine because, I mean, Mutas are really annoying to deal with. Wow, look at this! He actually 100% thinks that Mutas are coming. Now, we obviously can see that it's just Lurkers and Hydras right now. I mean, maybe he could make a batch of Mutas right now. But kAra is remarkably paranoid about the Mutas. So far that he made a Dark Archon. That is really interesting. See, normally the Protoss, if you were really that scared, you would just continue to make Corsairs, right? I mean, a Corsair costs marginally more than 1 DT, but it's about the same. So the cost of this is about 2 Corsairs, and you have to research Maelstrom, which is 100-100. So basically, the cost of getting the Dark Archon and 1 Maelstrom is almost the same as 3 Corsairs, right? And the 3 Corsairs will be much more consistent in their usage, I feel, and also be able to harass overlords, you know, just run around and be annoying. Whereas the Dark Archon is literally kind of a one-shot wonder. When it works, it's beautiful. But in this case, it doesn't do anything, right? Now oh my god, the High Templar just killed himself. Now the Lurkers come up, and well, the 3rd base is denied. You know, the Dark Archon is useless. He's got a Robo, but no Observatory yet. And I'm a little bit surprised considering he started going Corsairs and then he stopped and just made all the anti-muted defense. Yeah, I mean, there could definitely be a valid reason for this. I can't think of it at the moment. I guess it's just cool. It just looks cool. And he has actually gone double forge now. I think this is good. I think. Well, actually, I was gonna say it's good once you get your 3rd base. He actually hasn't got his 3rd base yet. I can actually see there's a bit of discussion about this in the Twitch chat. Yeah, usually you can't really afford this, like double forge upgrades, if you're only on 2 base. If the Protoss actually gets the faster 3rd base, then I think that's good. But in this situation, obviously, he's getting denied, which is actually extremely painful for kAra right now. Because you can see FlaF already getting his 4th base, gonna set up the Lurker Contain. There was a lot of resources committed to anti-muted defense that don't really do anything right now. Hive meanwhile is on the way as well. It looks like finally got the Observer over here, so we're gonna be able to take out these Lurkers. But I don't think FlaF cares about this at all. If I were FlaF, I'd be very happy with how much the Protoss 3rd has been delayed, because on Fighting Spirit in particular, it's very easy to. I think Gorinich is messaging the wrong person now, but I think it's very easy to get the 3rd base on this map. You know, like Terrans in particular, well, like in TVP, you can get this super duper fast. In PvZ, it's kind of the same idea. You can just turtle a little bit. So FlaF now has nice map control. kAra marginally ahead on supply, but Protoss is kind of supposed to be quite ahead on supply, so he's actually in good shape right now. Interestingly, the Dark Archon has now had enough time to build up energy for 2 Maelstroms. I believe Maelstrom is 100 energy. And even though I said it wouldn't be that useful against Hydra Lurk, there is still the potential where if, for example, if FlaF has all of his Lurkers on a single control group and he runs, you know, a whole bunch of Lurkers in and he gets Maelstromed, like 6 Lurkers Maelstromed, before they burrow, that would be huge. That would be absolutely huge. And I think it's pretty common, right, for Zergs to have all their Lurkers on the same hotkey, because that's what allows you to burrow. If you have Lurkers on a mixed hotkey with other units, you can't actually burrow them when you select that hotkey. So yeah, it looks like we are moving out now. It looks like 1-1 has finished. And we're going for the first attack. Alright, what is going on? Looks like... Oh! High Templar Snipe does get it. Very, very nice. That was what, like 8 Zerglings? Very, very good trade there for the High Templar. There are still 3 High Templar left. Nice Storm, though, on the incoming Zerglings. He does lose the single Dragoon. That's still a max energy High Templar. This one looks like it's out of energy, and is that 2 max? Yeah, basically 2 max energy. That's 4 Storms ready. And it looks like having some pro problems. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, is that really? He's only on 6 gateways still. He's on, okay, 7 gateways on 3 base. Needs to add more gateways again. He's actually taking the middle. This actually looks crazy and would have been a little bit ridiculous if I saw this, you know, back in 2014 or whatever it was. But this, I believe, is actually becoming somewhat of a more accepted strategy in PvZ on Fighting Spirit, because taking a 4th base on this map is very, very tricky. taking the top left natural is super far away and allows Zerg to basically attack 2 points. You have 2 weak points, new expansion at the top left and your natural. Zerg can very easily swing forces back and forth between those points due to their mobility. Protoss, unless you're very good at splitting your army, can often find themselves overcommitting to one side or the other, and you either lose the expansion or you get Zerg units all in your natural, and it's really, really annoying. Taking the middle is actually, especially since they're cross-map, means you are effectively expanding along your attack path. You know, it's the same idea for Terrans in TVP, for example. You want to expand in the same direction that your mech army is pushing, because you don't have the mobility to keep up with your opponent. So you just go where your army is, right? The army's attacking the natural, fine. I'll actually expand behind the army. And this is really, really interesting. So even though, yeah, sure, it's in the middle of the map, it's actually not as exposed as you might, you know, intuitively think. It's really quite interesting. I actually saw Stork do this just like last week on his stream. It was pretty fun. I think he lost the game anyway, but it was still pretty funny to see him do that. Alrighty, so looks like, wow, 2-2 is done already though, man. So these double forges, looks like they must have just finished. These double forges actually giving him insanely fast upgrades right now, although 2-2 already done for FlaF as well. So FlaF actually keeping pace, and he's also, look, he's got his Ultralisk Cabin, he's got his Filer Mount, he has actually got all his high level tech, and this can become quite dangerous for the Protoss, depending on the army composition. Interestingly, now that we're getting to late game PvZ, the Dark Archon gains additional uses. It's no longer a Maelstrom one-trick pony. In late game PvZ, I actually feel very strongly that Dark Archons are very underrated, and they should be a required unit. At least 1 or 2 Dark Archons should be a required unit in late game PvZ, because Feedback is an insanely good spell against Defilers. Defilers will always have max energy due to Consume, which means anytime you feedback a Defiler, it will always kill it, right? And feedback is only 50 energy, and it has basically... Oh, the Maelstrom though! The sick Maelstrom and the feedback! He instant kills the Defiler, he feedbacks the Ultralisk and so many Lings! Great use of the Dark Archon here. The last thing I was trying to say was feedback actually is one of the longest range spells in the game. I think it has like 13 range or something. It's almost the range of a siege tank. So you can always cast feedback before he can cast the Defiler spell on you, or at least usefully cast it. So having 1 or 2 Dark Archons in the late game in this matchup, I think, is really, really nice. If you have the APM and the multitask to actually make use of it. Now, in the meantime, looks like kAra is actually keeping position here in the middle of the map while he takes the top left. I think this is actually really good. You want to, it's like, Dark Swarm really hurts the Protoss. Yes, they have Zealots and Dark Templars that can fight under it. Technically, the Archons can as well with their splash damage. But the Dragoons become nullified. And Zerg still has Lurkers, right? And Ultra Ling is still very effective. Wait, does he not have Zealot speed? Wait a minute. I think kAra doesn't have Zealot speed. These Zealots are slow Zealots. What the heck? Wow, what the... Alright, well, he still has slow Zealots. But I guess it hasn't made a difference yet. And he's actually also got this base as well, which is really nice. Adding the gateways here is also nice. When the Zerg attacks into this, the units will bug out and try to run around here, especially Ultralisks. They have to, like, they'll cause traffic jams. It'd be really nice if you got a Reaver here as well. That would become, you know, a virtually unbreakable defense. If you have Reaver, Storms, and Cannons to tank, that's really good. Looks like FlaF, by the way, is just slightly worried about drops at this bottom right base. So just adding some static defenses there, just trying to get a look-see at what's going on in the Zerg main. Protoss is just going to defend this fresh expansion, just like he's got the Pro transfer going on. Anything crazy? It looks like he's getting his 3-3 now. He still has a very, very low gateway count, which is concerning to me. I mean, yes, he's got a few more gateways sprinkled around here. I mean, actually, well, now that I think about it, technically he's got 4 more gateways, right? He's got 2 at the top left, 1 in the middle, 1 at the third. So I guess he's got, what, 10 gateways right now? 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, he's got 9 gateways. Okay, so he's got 9 gateways. Looks like a bit of an engagement, but you can see Zerg's not going to commit here. He can't really commit into this very easily. Now he is going, though. He's going again. This is the second stage. Nope. He's going back. FlaF is getting very close to maxed. We're going into super late game PvZ here. So look at how many Ultras there are and how many Archons as well. This is the late game And this is just so cool to watch. Oh man, all the crazy OP units running around. But look at all these Ultralists just exploding in the map here, doing almost nothing. Another nice Maelstrom on these units. Oh man, looks like more Ultra Lane coming from the bottom, but a pylon wall in combination with the Archon there does keep this base safe. Note that the value of cannons becomes quite diminished in the late game due to Dark Swarm. So cannons actually go from being like a powerful defensive building just by themselves into actually being more of like just a tanky distraction so that you can storm and so that your Reavers can shoot from behind. Because obviously once the Dark Swarm is down, they don't do any damage, and Cracklings just kind of rip them apart. So it's really actually down to your Reavers and Storms to keep your bases alive here in the late game. And I love, you know, all these Archons. They're still slow! He still hasn't gotten speed. I mean, surely, I guess he just doesn't realize, but because that upgrade also is super fast, so if he noticed it, you know, a minute ago and got the research then, it should have been done by now. But we do have a big Doom Drop going into the 12 o'clock, or not 12 o'clock, into the top left position here. A couple of cannons being made. They will not be in time. And his army is actually, look at this, his army is at the bottom right. So I don't think there's any way for him to actually save this base. He should just commit to an attack at the bottom right. He's got a huge army here. He is actually going to the top left. I don't think that's the best idea. You can see. Oh man. There's the drop, and the army, where is he actually going? He seems to be slightly confused over where he actually wants to go. Alright, well. He's just gonna chill. Oh my god, a lot of lurkers in the middle of the map though. Whoa, hello, that is a lot of lurkers. And the Protoss army just seems to not know what it wants to do here. kAra is getting a little bit confused. To be fair, attacking into a Sunken Lurker Spore defense is quite scary because that's one of the few places where Zerg can be super, super efficient against the Protoss army. And it's very easy to just mistakenly throw away a lot of units. But look at this, 2 clumped on the Lurkers, and great storms from kAra does take down most of that stuff. 4 DTs though, just walking in here, murdering everything. They're 3-3 now, by the way. Although maxed upgrades for what's his face? FlaF as well. 5-3 on the Ultralists. The DT's actually kiting back to the cannons. It looks like the Protoss army finally deciding to commit to the 6 o'clock base, but this base might actually fall, and this is really problematic for FlaF, or sorry, for kAra. He's going to be down to just his 3rd base and the middle expansion. This Zerg base is definitely going to fall, but I think this was a fresh expansion. So I think this is not going to last too long. But look at this! Look at the multi-attacks! This is exactly how Zerg wants to play the late game. Abuse the multitasking, abuse the mobility about how he can just, oh my god, how he can send small groups of lurkers with his defilers, probes transferring away through lurker fire. Somehow, some of them do survive, and he's coming up to actually help against these units, but FlaF doing a great job here. But look at the resource counts. The problem is that kAra has banked 3,500 minerals. So yes, that combination attack was devastating, and he's still losing probes here at the top left. But I think kAra will be okay for a little while. He's got to be careful though. kAra definitely has to be careful. Wow, is this guy even gonna get a free Archon kill? All of the cannons are dead. Are the Archons coming to save their buddy? Oh, he morphed. Is he gonna die though? Oh, the Archons are stuck on the oh, he won by 12 HP. The Archons got stuck on the wall. Finally do take it down. But look at how many Ultra Ling are being made now by FlaF. Man, this is actually an insanely good game. By the way, FlaF has also mined out his main and his natural. So, you know, FlaF is basically going to be down to the 3 base, or 2.5 base, although he's taking the 6 o'clock now. Whereas Protoss, I guess, look at this, he's not mining his 3rd. Wait a minute. He must have lost so many probes, actually, from that attack. Look at how few probes are on the map. He's got, like, 7 probes here, 6 probes here, and, like, 3 probes at his 3rd. kAra actually has almost no probes. But what that does mean is that all of his supply is an army, so his army must be so strong, but I don't think it's in the right position. Look at the minimap. The Protoss army is coming in from the bottom, but I think FlaF, yeah, he's just going to right-click the Nexus. The Nexus is immediately killed. He effectively one-shot the Nexus, but now all these Ultralisks are stuck at the top left unless he uses Overlords to ferry them out. He's actually going to run into the top left. But the giant Protoss Death Ball, if you can't fight it straight up, just counterattack the bases. You know, this is the late game Zerg strategy. When you start getting a billion Archons and Dark Archons and eventually Reavers, you know, it's virtually impossible for Zerg to win a straight up engagement. It's actually similar to late game ZVT after the Terran does a mech switch. You know, I mean, unless Maelstrom's Eye Templars. Eye Templars are organic units as well. But, you know, in late game ZVT, it's almost impossible to actually win a straight up fight against the, you know, the maxed out Terran mech army. So what you need to do is you need to constantly, you know, drop his bases, backstab, you know, try and do like mine bombs and stuff, do like crazy muta switches, things like that in order to win. Because trying to fight straight up is just not going to go your way. And FlaF is really executing this well, but kAra keeping the supply lead though, just barely. And he's sending all his army up to the top left again. He sent a few units down here, but I think this 6 o'clock now is pretty well held onto by FlaF. And this though could become a problem as the game goes on, because okay, FlaF gets this base. Who gets the 12 o'clock? Even if FlaF gets the 12 o'clock, kAra will get the top left too. And because he's also got the middle base, that means it will have been 7 bases against 6. So technically, if they mine out everything like this and Zerg gets this one, Zerg would have mined out 1 additional base to the Protoss. But Protoss can be so obscenely efficient in the late game that I don't think that's enough. I don't think FlaF can afford for it to get to that point. I mean, you can see these spells, how you can just completely nullify so many things that the Zerg can do. So FlaF, you can see, is constantly trying to deny the space. Doesn't want Protoss to mine from the top left. You know, doesn't want him to freely mine from the middle base. Although it looks like this is getting mined out on this side at least. So FlaF really being aggressive here. And he's actually, look at this, it's basically maxed on max. 180 supply to 180. Gonna have another engagement here at the front. Few Ultralisks are coming down here. The only thing really missing from this Protoss army still is Reavers, but he's got a freaking Arbiter! What the? Wow, he's got an Arbiter. Now there are Overlords here, but Stasis is another spell that's not that bad. If you can Stasis like 5 Ultralisks, what you can also do is recall onto random bases and make it super annoying for the Zerg to deal with. The cloak itself maybe is not necessarily super useful, although if you combine it with like a big batch of Corsairs in the late game, that can be super effective as well. Because you can actually sometimes see Protoss switch back super late game into Corsairs, and you can even go like mass DTs, because mass DTs absolutely annihilates Ultralisks. I can't believe he's actually doing so well with so many Dragoons in his composition. Typically, Dragoons are effective more in the kind of in the mid game in PvZ, and late game they fall off a bit, similar to Zealots. They don't really scale well into the late game, primarily due to, I mean, they're very weak to both Dark Swarm and Plague, right? So really late game you don't want to have too many Dragoons in your army, but a second Arbiter is now finished. I can't believe he's doing this. He's got 2 Stargates for Arbiters. Oh my god, he's got such a low gateway count still. He's just got 2 Stargates for Arbiters. This is crazy. Actually, I should remind myself that there's more gateways on the map. So like 1 here, it's like 2 here. So it's not as low as it actually looks just looking at the main base. But FlaF is actually going to start getting low on minerals. Main and natural are gone. This base is getting super low. Presumably this base, well actually he's not mining with that many drones, so there's still a few minerals here. But, ooh, looks like a Plague actually grabbing this. By the way, Plague does also reveal cloak units. So that's another reason why the Arbiter Cloak isn't itself the most useful thing. It's more about the spells. Oh, so we got another drop going in. He's actually just dropping here. He's going to run in by ground from the top side. The probe doesn't quite see it. Now he's going to see it. The Protoss army is outside the Zerg's natural. He's going to have to come back to defend this. I don't think he has enough stuff here. He's got 2 DTs, 1 High Templar. Is that enough? He does go for the Storm here, but these Ultralisks are just laughing at him, just mowing down these Photon Cannons. The Protoss army is coming back. More Ultras are coming down. Look at this. He's moving in. What's he going to do? He's going to right-click the Nexus. Maelstrom. Oh, the Stasis! He stasis and it's bugging out. Look at this. It's bugging everything out. The stasis cows. They can't even attack anything. Oh my god. And look how huge the ice cube thing is. Look how big that is. Oh my god. Meanwhile, it looks like another Defiler running in to just plague stuff. More units. Looks like some Scourge were trying to go for the Arbiter, but FlaF kind of losing control of his late game forces. Just too much stuff to deal with. kAra needs to just stay here and actually kill these. He could potentially Maelstrom it as well to be maximally efficient, which would be very cool. He could even mind control if he wants to be a baller. I don't know actually if he researched mind control though, because mind control it's a lot of energy. Yeah, he's just gonna Maelstrom. Mind control. Not only do you have to research it from the Templar archives, but it costs 150 energy, and I believe it depletes your shields. So I think after you mind control something, your Dark Archon is super vulnerable because it just removes all your shields for some reason. I have no idea why Blizzard decided to do that. But anyway, another big engagement in the middle of the map. A lot of Ultra Lurkers. There's a Stasis grabbing 1 Lurker and both Defilers actually, although 1 Dark Swarm does get off here. The Ultras need to stay under the Dark Swarm, otherwise the Goons will murder them. That's the thing. Dragoons are weak to Defilers, but if your Dark Swarms are not on point and you cannot swarm your Ultralisks, Goons are actually fantastic against Ultralisk, believe it or not. They actually, you know, they have a relatively high single shot or relatively high damage on each individual attack, which is what you need against such a high armor value. I mean, Zealots basically do like no damage to Ultralisk because the armor applies twice, right? So this has 22 damage, and the Ultralisks have 6 armor, right? But that technically is actually 12 armor, because the Zealot attack counts as 2 different attacks. So basically the Zealots only do 10 damage per attack in the late game against Ultralisks. So that's actually very, very low. I mean, that's less than their original attack, right? The base damage from a Zealot attack is 16, but they only do 10 in the late game. Alright, anyway, looks like, oh, we got another drop going in, but now it's going into the Protoss main. Or not. He got this base as well, by the way. Oh, another Maelstrom, it looks like, on the front. Big Maelstrom on the Ultra. Man, that's so cool. Look at like the triple fireballs. Oh my god, it's like it like turns the Ultralisk into a firebender! No way! No! Oh my god! The massive Lurker Stasis! Holy bananas! Have you guys ever seen that many Lurkers hit by 1 Stasis? 3 Overlords are now moving in to the main base. But this, for sure, grants kAra the moral victory, but he could actually lose a lot of his production here. He doesn't actually have that many production to begin with. What a freaking insane game this is. Oh my god. Alright, wait, looks like a couple of High Templars were actually at the rally point, so they're gonna come back and defend this. Meanwhile, the pressure continues here at the front. Looks like the Lurkers came out of stasis and burrowed, but they burrowed all in a clump, so the Lurkers are just gonna get obliterated by the Storms, although he needs 1 more Storm, though. Looks like he's run out of energy. He's run out of energy, but he still has Dragoons taking things down. It looks like Lings are still rampaging in the main base, potentially gonna kill the Cybernetics core. The top base has only got 3 probes mining here. Middle base look like it's all gone. He left the Dark Archon at the left base, and the freaking Zerglings are just going crazy here. What the heck? The Zerglings, you just kill the Zerglings, man. Oh, got him. This 1 Zergling though is just gonna kill everything. Oh my god. Meanwhile, it looks like the main Protoss force has been pushed back here, and look at kAra's supply. kAra went from almost max to plummeting down to 125. FlaF has the supply lead now. FlaF actually has the supply lead. I think FlaF can win this game still. It's been looking like kAra's been in control for a lot of the game, although to be fair, there were those drops made it very, very close, and FlaF was doing a very good job here. But I think kAra was possibly goofing around a little bit too much, didn't really pay attention to his macro, and is now in serious trouble. There's 5 lurkers in his base. There's no detection here. He's got the 12 o'clock, not that many units mining. He's got, I mean, he was making 2 Stargate Arbiters here. He's got 3 Arbiters with almost maxed energy on the field. Oh man, look, he's leaving. He's abandoning his main. He's just gonna let it die. He's actually going to protect the 12 o'clock base. He needs to stasis the ramp. He needs to stasis the ramp. He needs to stasis the ramp. He needs to stasis block the ramp. If you stasis block the ramp, you can save it. You can still save it. You need to stasis block the ramp. Oh no, kAra, he's not stasis blocking the ramp, and now he's gonna lose at 12 o'clock. That stasis was not the most useful in the world, but now he's got more Arbiters here. He does have more Arbiters here, but is FlaF gonna get the Nexus? No, he's not targeting down the Nexus. The Nexus is losing its shields. Now he's targeting the Nexus. Now he right-clicked the Nexus. Look at how fast the HP falls. Can he kill it? A stasis? The double stasis to save the Nexus. But there's 2 lurkers underneath the Dark Swarm, and there's nothing that can actually kill them. No, the DTs are here. He's gonna save the red health Nexus just barely with the double stasis. But if FlaF actually controls these units as soon as they come out of stasis, he could potentially still kill that Nexus. Meanwhile, the entire main base is destroyed here. No more main base for kAra. FlaF has a 60 supply lead. He has completely turned this game around here, despite the madness of kAra. I cannot believe what I'm witnessing. Is a freaking Arbiter flying around trying to figure out what to do. A feedback combo with a Maelstrom here on the bottom, but look, he's got almost no units here to defend, and now the units come out of stasis, and they're just gonna kill him anyway. 2 Arbiters do almost no damage to anything. 0 DPS Arbiters. He's just looking for units to use right now. He's gonna lose his Templar Archives even. And I think FlaF has actually won this game. I cannot believe what I'm seeing right now. What a game. I don't think kAra can win anymore. I thought kAra had this game for sure. Well, actually, I don't know. It was still pretty close actually in the mid game. I thought he was ahead, maybe not having it for sure. But it turns out those Arbiters not helping him enough. I mean, it was definitely cool. But he has no more production, he has no more money. I mean, he's got 1,700 in the bank, but at this point in the game, that's really not that much. Huge storm on these Ultralisks, but they are so beefy. They can tank. Ultralisks actually require 4 full duration storms, well, 3.5 full duration storms to kill, which is insane. Oh my god, look at them just face tanking. Oh, the stasis! Oh my god. Just trying to save his life with the Arbiters. Holy. Alright, well, I think he's gonna lose his base. He's not gonna hold it with 1 Archon and 3 Arbiters. Look how much freaking ice there is. Oh my god. What? Even the Archon's in the ice. Look at him. Oh no. There's even Odulisks coming in here. Zerg is taking 12 o'clock. Protoss is taking the top left. But this Nexus is going to fall, ladies and gentlemen. What's over here? Alright, the Arbiters are piecing out. Arbiters are piecing out. He's gonna have to cancel this. And that means he's only mining from the remains of this third base. He lost his cybernetics. He has to rebuild his entire tech tree. He has 0 tech buildings. He has to start from the cybernetics core. Like, if he wants to build Templars again, now he also needs to build a Citadel. Wait, what? Wait, he already have a cybernetics core. Wait, he just built a 2nd cybernetics core. He forgot that he made it at the 3rd. He's like, damn, I really need to make a Citadel right now, and he just makes a 2nd one. Holy moly. By the way, guys, this is game 2, and kAra's up 1-0. So if FlaF wins this game, we will go to a game 3 between these 2 players. I'm so glad I decided to cast this as the first match of the day. And this could be the final battle here. Do we have enough energy? No, we don't have enough energy for that many stasises. Plague, Swarm, Stasis, all of the things are being used in this battle. All of the spells. And GG from kAra. FlaF with the victory in that game. I cannot believe What a freaking game that was. Holy moly. FlaF with the comebacks there. kAra trying to do the sneaky strats and not able to. That means the series is 1-1 and we are going to a deciding game 3. This is the round of 32, by the way, guys. The round of 32 of the final qualifier for the Italian Esports Open, and it's all coming down to this.